Mabuhay from Washington, D.C. I am pleased and honored to join you in marking Filipino American History Month and in recognizing the role of Filipino Americans in shaping the history and progress of the United States. This year's celebration takes an even greater significance as tens of thousands of Filipino Americans, including all of you in the United States Armed Forces, serve on the front lines and help in the valiant fight against COVID-19. As we mark this special month, let us also reflect on how the Filipino American community exemplifies the enduring nature of the deep ties between the Philippines and the United States. Thank you.
Did you know that Filipinos have been in America since 1587? The first Filipino landed in what is now the continental United States at Morro Bay, California. They arrived aboard the Nuestra Señora de Buena Esperanza as part of the Manila Galleon trade. This makes the Filipinos the first Asians in California. The landing precedes the events in Plymouth Rock by 33 years.
In 1763, the first permanent Filipino settlements were established in North America near Barataria Bay in southern Louisiana.
Filipinos residing in Louisiana, referred to as Manila men, residing near the city of New Orleans, including the Manila Village, were among the Baratarians, a group of men who fought with John Lafitte and Andrew Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans during the War of 1812.
Between 1861 to 1865, approximately 100 Filipinos and Chinese enlisted during the American Civil War into the Union Army and Navy, as well as serving in smaller numbers in the armed forces of the Confederate States of America.
In 1901, President William McKinley signed an executive order allowing the Navy to enlist 500 Filipinos as part of its insular force.
In 1911, Jose B. Nesperos becomes the first Asian American to be awarded the Medal of Honor.
The destroyer USS Rizal was donated to the U.S. Navy by the Philippine Legislature in 1919 and named after the martyred Philippine patriot Dr. Jose Rizal. Her crew was predominantly Filipino American.
U.S. Army Forces in the Far East is created in July 1941 by all-organized military forces under the Philippine Commonwealth into the service of the armed forces of the United States.
During World War II, Filipinos comprised the largest Asian group to serve the U.S. Coast Guard. Most of these men were American citizens, but many native Filipino military men transferred to the Coast Guard after the Japanese captured their homeland in 1942.
Two months later, on April 1942, the 1st Filipino Battalion was activated and became the 1st Filipino Regiment on 1 July 1942. The 2nd Filipino Regiment was then activated in October of that same year.
April 1942, fall of Bataan and beginning of the Bataan Death March. Approximately 75,000 Filipino and American troops were forced to march to their prison camp at Camp O'Donnell, some 65 miles away under extreme tropical conditions. Despite suffering from massive disease and starvation, and fighting without any reinforcement or air support lost during the first week of fighting, they managed to delay the 50-day timetable of the Imperial Japanese Army by holding on to Bataan for 99 days. Between 5,000 to 10,000 Filipinos and between 250 to 650 Americans died along the way. Upon reaching Camp O'Donnell, approximately 20,000 Filipinos and 1,600 Americans died while incarcerated.
In December 1942, 4 former officers of the Philippine Army received commissions in the Coast Guard Reserve after first finishing the U.S. Navy's Submarine Chaser School.
In 1944, Corporal Magdalena Leones, a Filipino American, received the Silver Star Medal for clandestine activities on Luzon. She is the only female Asian American to receive it.
President Truman signs the Rescission Act of 1946, taking away the Veterans Benefits pledged to Filipino service members during World War II. Only 4,000 service members were able to gain citizenship during this period. The United States recognizes Philippine independence through the Treaty of Manila.
In August of 1951, the Mutual Defense Treaty between the United States and the Philippines is signed, dictating that both nations would support each other if either the Philippines or the United States is attacked by an external party.
Throughout the Vietnam War, Filipino-American sailors remained restricted to the rating of steward, with 80% of the almost 17,000 Filipino-American sailors being stewards. In 1970, there were more Filipinos serving in the U.S. Navy than there were in the Philippine Navy.
In 1981, the United States and the Philippines held its first Balikatan exercise. Balikatan is the Tagalog word for shoulder to shoulder.
In 2000, Eleanor Concepcion Connie Mariano becomes the first Filipino-American and graduate of the Uniformed Services University of Medicine to reach the rank of Rear Admiral in the U.S. Navy, as well as the first woman to become the director of the White House Medical Unit.
Lieutenant General Edward Soriano becomes the highest-ranking Filipino-American in U.S. Army history in August 2002, when he received his 3rd star and took over command of Fort Lewis, Washington, also known as Joint Base Lewis-McChord.
Mabuhay! In 2003, retired Chief Warrant Officer Reynaldo Jacinto became the first Filipino CWO5 in the world's greatest Navy, the United States Navy.
In 2007, Manessa Cantuncan becomes the first female Filipino-American F-16 pilot.
October 2009, Filipino-American History Month is recognized in California.
Also, in October 2009, Eleanor Valentin promotes as the Rear Admiral, becomes the first female flag officer to serve as the Director of the United States Navy Medical Service Corps.
In April 2014, the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement is signed, allowing U.S. forces access to and use of designated areas owned and controlled by the Armed Forces of the Philippines at the invitation of the Philippine government.
The Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project nonprofit organization was established in October 2014. PhilVetRep's goal is to raise awareness through academic research and public information and obtain national recognition of Filipino and Filipino-American World War II soldiers across the United States and Philippines for their wartime service to the U.S. and the Philippines from July 1941 to December 1946.
I'm Cynthia Moneda. I was born in Olongapo City, Philippines, and I moved to California when I was 10 years old. I joined the active duty enlisted workforce in 1994. In June 2015, I became the first female Asian Master Chief Petty Officer in the U.S. Coast Guard.
In November 2015, Raquel Bono becomes the first female Navy medical officer to achieve 3-star rank. And as an Asian American and female surgeon, she has championed the value of diversity and inclusion.
In April 2016, the Philippines receives its first 2 Lockheed C-130s through the Excess Defense Articles Program.
In August 2016, John Quintas promotes to Major General of the United States Air Force, becoming the highest-ranking Filipino-American airman to date.
In December 2016, President Barack Obama signs into law the Congressional Gold Medal to Filipino World War II veterans. The Congressional Gold Medal is the highest civilian award bestowed by the United States Congress.
There have never been a Filipino-American general in the United States Marine Corps. Only 3 Filipino-American officers have ever been promoted to the rank of colonel. In addition, only a handful of Filipino-American enlisted have become Master Gunnery Sergeant.
Chief Warrant Officer 5, Christopher Aragon, United States Marine Corps, stationed at Headquarters Marine Corps here at the Pentagon. Filipino-American Marines, although few, are slowly breaking barriers in our Corps. We are here.
And you'd better believe we're already breaking barriers and making history in the United States Space Force.
So this month of October, reflect on our achievement as Filipino American. As Dr. Jose Rizal said, those who fail to look back to where they came from will not reach where they're going. No history, no self. Aloha and mabuhay.